We're never going to stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Justice for Tyrone West.
Justice for Tyrone West.
Justice for all victims. Of course, you know this is West Ramsey, and the ones that don't know this is West Ramsey. We now been out here now for 219 weeks. 1,533 days, 219 weeks, 1,533 days fighting nonstop for accountability for my big brother Tyrone West, who was brutally executed 4 years ago. And we're not only out here to fight for him, we're out here to fight for all the victims of police brutality, murder, homicides, torture, everything. So I'm just going to kind of jump in case people that don't know what happened to my brother. My brother was an unarmed black man. Should I move over this way? Oh. So my brother was an unarmed black man, and he was driving my Mercedes Benz. He had just left me, and within a half an hour, he was brutally beat to death by 11 to 15 maniac officers, killer cops. And the first two killer cops, Nicholas Davis Chapman and Officer Killer Ruiz, they were the first two at my car. They pulled them out by dreadlocks for no reason. Nothing wasn't wrong with my car. They were in an unmarked car. And at that moment, they started torturing my brother's witnesses. They pepper sprayed them, tased them, kicked them, stomped them, maced them, did just unimaginable things to one unarmed man. And then they called in a fake signal 13, which means an officer is down. And at this moment, instead of the rest of the officers who arrived at that scene checking in to make sure that my brother was okay, they disregarded his life totally. He wasn't even good enough for them to call the paramedics out there. The reason why the paramedics showed up on Kentmore and Telswood, let's be real clear, they only showed up because a tad bit of the pepper spray that Chapman was spraying everywhere and dicing my brother in, some got back in his eye, backlash, and that's why it was called. That's the only reason why it was called. And that's just disgusting to me. They couldn't even pick up the phone to ask, oh my God, I feel so honored. I see some beautiful people. Oh no, my sister just walked up here. I ain't seen her God knows when, my nephew, this family out here, man. Hey, my baby got big, Lord Jesus. Y'all distracted me, I'm sorry. This is my family. Y'all want to come up here, y'all more than welcome. Y'all want to come up, y'all can stay in the back out behind. But anyway, so my brother, he was basically executed, by Nicholas Davis Chapman and Ruiz. They didn't even think enough of my brother's life to even call in just to get him help. And then the other, like I said, maniacs that arrived at the scene, instead of them assessing the situation, they actually started kicking and stomping my brother. They even had an officer named David Lewis from Morgan State University. He was the last officer to show up at that scene. Instead of him helping, he crashed up to Morgan State University van. And mind you, this man is 315 pounds. He's 6'4.5". So he's a big, huge man. And instead of him assessing the scene and telling them step back, he actually, after my brother was tortured over 20 minutes, David Lewis from Morgan actually sat while my brother was face down. He sat with his knee pressed onto my brother's back, pushing down till my brother was no longer screaming, no longer breathing, just murdered, just executed, and did nothing. And he smothered my brother to death after he was pepper sprayed, kick, stomp, taped. And at the end of the day, people don't realize what my family has been going through for the last 4 years. Like I always tell y'all, I don't even know what to say to his children. I don't know what to say to his grandbabies. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to my kids. The only thing I can say is no matter what, as long as God give me life in my body, I'm never going to stop fighting for my big brother, for y'all, for all the victims of police brutality and murder. Because at the end of the day, what they did to my brother, he didn't deserve that. Nobody deserved that. The crazy part, let's keep in mind, Nicholas Davis Chapman and Officer Ruiz and Officer Omar almost killed a man 24 hours before they executed my brother. There was another man named Darrell Harris who was driving down Loch Raven, and out of warranty, here go the killer squad. They pulled him over, and the only thing that saved Darrell Harris' life was the fact he told the person in the vehicle to call 911. And That's what saved his life. A supervisor came down there and they stopped. And at the time, you'll see the video. The video is available online where Ruiz is ready to pepper spray him. For what? Jerome Harris is not doing anything but asking violent questions, the same questions that my brother asked. Why are you pulling me over? Why are you doing this? And for that warranted a beating. You know, and this is ridiculous. And I'll even take y'all back, before I end on this note, I'll take y'all guys back to July the 1st. Abdul Salam. The same 3 killer cops keep showing up at the scene. Chapman, Ruiz, and Omar. They pulled Abdul Salam over. Abdul was a resident of that community. Abdul was with his baby pulling into his driveway. And these maniacs, what they did, they jumped out, they started beating on him, and they tortured this man in front of his baby, being held in the backseat to watch while his baby be tortured. I'm sorry, while his father be tortured. And at the time, his son was only 3 years old. His son was 3 years old. So, like I said, we never gonna stop until these killer cops are in cell block. You know what I'm saying? And I keep on getting harassed. Like before I got here, I got a weird phone call. Normally this phone call doesn't happen until like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I was actually shocked that it happened like 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean 5 o'clock this afternoon. I'm so used to these weird wake-up calls. So the call happened like 5 o'clock before I got here. It happened twice. So at the end of the day, we won't stop fighting for accountability for my big brother Tyrone West, and not just Tyrone West, because like I said, it didn't start at my brother, and the saddest part, it does not end at my brother. And that's exactly why we out here, and we're never going to stop fighting for accountability, because to me, justice does not allow an unarmed person to get beat to death, tortured, and people walk away and not be held accountable. That's no justice in that. It's just us. So at the end of the day, we're going to continue on fighting for accountability. I'm going to continue on doing this until my carcass drops. I'm never going to stop fighting. And like my brother Chris always say, let's talk about Curtis Deal, who was executed. We're never going to forget his name. We're never going to forget Nancy Anderson, Freddie Gray, the list goes on. And tomorrow, they're having a police brutality, and I'll place it. They're having a panel discussion about police brutality, and I'm actually one of the panelists on there with my beautiful Kelly's supposed to be there tomorrow. Also, Corinne Gaines' mom is supposed to be there as well. So I think it's going to be, and it's sad that it's our pain. You know, it's our, we got to live through this, and we got to go through this. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's always about putting that word out, letting them know that these are not isolated incidents. It's happening systemically, and it's happening all around the world, and we just not going to stop. We're just not going to go nowhere. Like I said, because if these killer cops are not going nowhere, how can they expect us to go somewhere when all we're doing is holding people accountable? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Until these judges actually, and the saddest part, all this stuff could have been prevented. Think about on July the 1st, with Abdul Salam. He took his life real serious. He filed criminal charges. He did everything. They laughed at Abdul. They even threatened Abdul Salam. They told Abdul if he was to call back, they was going to come and re-arrest him. And that's exactly, and that's crazy. Like, he's filing a complaint, letting everybody know, the community know, that we have killer cops that was trying to kill him, and nothing happened. Same as with the Brown Harris, nothing happened. And the saddest part, they had the tragedy that we know of. My brother Tyrone West, what about the victims that we don't know about? And this is why West Williams is so important. This is why we started, just like I said, 219 weeks ago. And regardless of the weather, it feels pretty good out here. You feel a nice breeze. You know, it feels good. But you know, soon the weather is going to change. And even in the summertime, we had rainstorms. We never delay our West Williams, because at the end of the day, they're not delaying killing us. They're not delaying murdering us. So at the end of the day, we're going to keep this fight. And I just ask everybody to keep in mind that when you come up here and speak, let's speak in love. Let's speak in power. Let's not attack each other. Let's attack the problem. Let's not attack no one out here. I don't want nobody to ever leave from a West Williams feeling like they got attacked. Because at the end of the day, I may say something that you don't agree with, but we always respect each other to agree to disagree. But let's attack these issues, because so much is going on right now. And my heart goes out to the tragedy that happened in Las Vegas. It's just, I don't even want to turn on the news. Like, it's just too numb. Like, you never know what you're going to see. And it's just sad, like the homicide rate is skyrocketing. I feel so unsafe for my kids, my niece, my nephew, my family members. Just even walk those streets, you don't know if they're going to get murdered by somebody in the community or an officer. You don't even know this, and this is sad. You don't know if some random person is just going to come up and shoot up a crowd. You don't know. Like, it's sad. It's disgusting to me. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is love, and I feel like love is something that will decrease hate. If we constantly keep on, it's like foolishness. Like, I don't know what that was about. I just heard the B word. But at the end of the day, none of that foolishness is not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. And I hope none of it don't stop me, because at the end of the day, it's not even about us. Everybody keep missing the bigger picture. The picture is about these lost lives. The picture is about every victim in the city right now that's been lost to homicides, crimes, violence. It's about all these brothers and sisters and mothers and cousins and friends that's getting killed by police officers. It's about them. So at the end of the day, they don't got nothing to do with, we are vessels. We're here to uplift their name and uplift their mission, because they can't no longer be here. That's what it's about. It ain't about nothing else. It ain't about putting nobody down. It ain't about no camera. It ain't about none of that. Because guess what? I would trade all this back. If I could get one more day with my brother, if I could just get 1 hour, 1 second with my brother, I would trade all of this. I would have gave him my life. If I could have known or seen what was going to happen on July 18, 2013, God knows I would have gave my life so that he could live and be here for his kids and for my family. But I can't. That's something that I can't do. No matter how much I cry, none of that brings back my brother. And I literally, on the way here, I heard 3 of my brother's favorite songs. And it struck me, and I'm crying, and at the same time, I'm trying not to let my youngest daughter see me cry, because I'm tired of them seeing me randomly cry, and they're like, what's wrong? Then they get upset. So I just kept my head faced, and thank God she was burning her phone and listening to her music as I was driving. But it's just sad, like I said, a song can literally take that moment, take you back there, and you miss your loved one. Like, it ain't nothing on this earth that I wouldn't trade to get my brother back. And I'm quite sure all the victims' families feel like that. And we all be left with blaming ourselves, like, what if we wouldn't have did? And I was blaming my own self. Like, I should have told him, no, he couldn't use my car. But that won't change what happens when killer cops place their, badge, and they think they're above the law. And I'm not talking about all cops. I'm talking about killer cops. That's why I always use the language killer cops. Because at the end of the day, you can't place everybody in a bad hole. Like, you know that there's bad people, you know that there's good people, and you can't place a group of people just because you got a big group that's standing there doing foolishness. You can't place everybody in the same boat. Because I'm quite sure some of us may have loved ones that's in law enforcement that feel the same way we feel. So it's not, absolutely not bashing officers. I'm not anti-police, I'm anti-police brutality. That's a big difference. My thing is, if you see somebody killing somebody and you don't stay, if you stand there and you don't say nothing, and you don't say that person's life, and you don't report it, their blood is on your hands. So that makes you a killer cop. But if you not involved in none of that, I commend you. I ask you to keep on doing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, we need good officers. We don't need no killer cops in our community. And I ain't gonna let nobody water my words down. Killer cops need to be in cell blocks.